Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the business edition. Before we jump on in, we'll talk about Mint Mobile. I actually just changed my phones at the beginning of this year over to Mint Mobile, and I could not be happier. I pay about $15 a month, and that will get you 3 gigabytes of data. They do actually have some larger plans as well. Oh, Lord, now all plans are including 5G. No, run, but that's okay. You can actually get a variety of phones. Here's their plans down here at the bottom. We have 3 gig for 15. We have up to 12 gig for 25 a month. Now, the reason you get it so cheap is that you buy it 3 months, at a minimum of 3 months at a time. I usually buy mine 6 months or a year at a time. It's infinitely cheaper. This basically means I'll be saving $700 after what I was paying last year, and actually the service is just as good, and I actually have more data, not less. So I really am enjoying Mint Mobile using it, so definitely check it out. All right, now let's jump on into the business news. First and foremost, Charter starts making donations to charities and lawmakers that are now telling the FCC to go ahead and kill the merger conditions. So this is kind of an update article, that's why it's first. We did talk about when Charter merged together, was it Spectrum and Charter, I think, merged, whatever the merger was here, I'm losing track of them all. There were several conditions, and they basically was like, hey, you can't impose data caps, and you can't have different streams of internet. In other words, net neutrality has to kind of stay. Now they're like, hey, we really need to get rid of these bad restrictions, and we're not going to do anything with them. We just want to get rid of them. We want to get rid of the restrictions to not use data caps. We won't cause data caps. We just want to get rid of the restriction that we can't use them. And, we're not going to create fast lanes. We just want to get rid of the restriction that says we can't. And this was causing some negativity, so then they went out and used their money, and they started paying off lawmakers and paying off charities who are now turning around and telling the FCC to go ahead and get rid of the restrictions. I'm sorry, can we just take every one of these crazy and annoying business people at Charter and hang them up in Times Square and beat them with wet noodles for a while, people? This is absolutely using corporate funds to cause politicians to be bought off. This should be illegal. Why is it not? Send these people to jail, extract their funds, and give it back to their customers, for crying out loud. No, they made a deal. They get to keep the deal until the end of the deal, and then we can deal with it. Especially, we don't want to change anything. We just want to get rid of these bad restrictions. Translation, get rid of the restrictions so we can charge people, otherwise who? Can we take these morons and kick them out of office? Throw them in a jail cell somewhere. Man. All right. Telegram is the latest company to file an EU antitrust complaint against Apple. Nothing too unusual here. Of course, I look at this and I say, Telegram, do they even have any paid systems? Actually, though, one of Telegram's major hinge point is one of the things I'm not hearing about as much that I wish I was hearing more. And my biggest fundamental criticism with the iPhone is that you cannot sideload an app without jailbreaking the iPhone. Can't do it. And this in and of itself causes some issues, because if I want to go out and I want to go on to like F-Droid, this is why the Android system, I can go on to F-Droid, I can download it, and sure, I'm not going to do it out of the box. I have to change some settings in some advanced places. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I get the security end. But Android allows me to sideload applications, which means I can take a trusted developer, I can download their app, I can do a security check on it, and then I can sideload that into my phone. Apple does not have a means to do that. And if Apple had a means to do that, then Apple would be out of the box among the best phone operating systems. That's actually a direction that Telegram's letter went through. You can actually go through, let's see if I can find the article again. There it is. All right, so here is the open letter from Telegram. We're not going to read all of it, but it's 7 myths Apple's using to justify their 30% tax. 30% commission allows Apple to maintain the App Store. 30% commission allows Apple to reinvest in building better iPhones. Anyone can compete with Apple if they don't like their commission. And this is the part that this is insane, because I can't compete. I can't sideload an app. Whereas on Android, I can get rid of the Google Play Store. My device, which runs Lineage, does not have any Google connections at all. We don't have the Google Store. We don't have Google trackers. We don't have any of that kind of stuff. And the phone works just fine for me. Without the iPhone, mobile app developers would not have a way to distribute their apps. This is that hinge pin point. We need a way to sideload an app. Any developer who doesn't like the commission can just build for Android. That's not true because not everybody's on an Android. You might have to have an app specifically for a person on the iPhone. Let's see. It's in line of what other platforms are charging. And having regulators look at Apple's practices goes against free market and fair competition. No, it's not. Apple, I completely agree that on these fronts, Apple is definitely involving themselves in antitrust. So Telegram is now getting into that. They don't have money at stake, but they do have sideloading apps at stake. And that is a very important point of it. There's that. All right, so taking on SpaceX, Amazon now wants to invest $10 billion in satellite broadband plans. So which one would be more crazy and nefarious, Elon Musk's or Dr. Evil's, or I'm sorry, Jeff Bezos's? Which one is the scariest and the craziest satellite internet broadband plan? Two companies now are vying for this, so kind of interesting. Hey, at least we have maybe competition. No, I think we actually just have collusion at this point. What should the price be? All right, what are you setting your price to? All right, well, here's the deal. I'm going to set mine a little bit lower this month. You set yours a little bit lower this month. We'll just keep on flip-flopping like this. And then every now and again, we're just going to keep raising it up like this. It's the kind of stuff we're going to start seeing. But nevertheless, it's better to have two companies in there than one. So Amazon is actually making a bid to compete with SpaceX for a satellite-based broadband internet. So that'll actually be kind of interesting. Maybe it's something that will actually get broadband out into the remote areas. Although I did see an article I did include in the news where Verizon, I think, is now pushing more of that stuff again. They used to do that a lot. Now they're not doing as much. Now they're going back to pushing the LTE services. Because, I mean, I go out to the middle of the sticks. I have a friend out there. They get bad DSL on a good day. I can still sit there using my phone on Mint Mobile and download speeds at 50 Mbps. That's the power of LTE, that's for sure. All right. Let's see. Okay, so Apple Store app adds For You tab, an immersive iPhone comparison tool. So this is the Apple Store wanting to push some more products and services. So it gives you lists of all the devices you have. It'll provide for you lists of things that you could buy, accessorize. Oh, we see that you have one of our massively overpriced, underperforming cheese grater Macs. You should probably buy the $700 wheels that don't have wheel locks on it for your computer. Keep your computer nice and safely rolling into the wall and down the hill. So, but you can get that, and then it gives you recommendations on other things as well, based on your devices and things like that. So it's an About You tab. So very nice, very new thing that they're building into the Apple Store. Isn't that just exciting? All right, and on to our feature story today. Working from home, expect longer hours and more meetings. So Microsoft did a report. I guess all you guys using Office 365 didn't realize you were part of a study at Microsoft, did you? Did you guys sign off on the Human Review Board Commission of that? But anyway, coronavirus pandemic means millions of people have suddenly found themselves leaving the office behind and working from home. Some might prefer the situation, but a new study uncovered a few negatives. Employees are working longer and often late into the night. Study comes from Microsoft, which examined the effects of working from home on 350 of its employees. So it wasn't Microsoft employees, they said here. The results are published in Harvard Business Review. By looking at de-identified email calendars, instant messaging, metadata, and comparing it to metadata from before the pandemiciness, the study found that people were on for more hours per week on average. So lunchtime breaks, so the gray is the old, the blue is now under remote. You can see the spike down here at midnight. You can see You can see here they peak a little bit higher, a little bit just before and a little bit after. This kind of represents your normal working day hours. So what we see here is not quite as high work, more people working through lunch. We see similar drops and declines. This basically is going to represent more family time stuff, but we have more people working at midnight and things like this. So they did say that there were more meetings, although the meetings were shorter. I have a few things to say about this. And the reason is this summer marks me working at home for 10 years. I have not been beholden to anybody for their specific paychecks for 10 years as of this month. I walked away from it wasn't a 9 to 5. I was working about 80 hours a week as a college professor. I walked away from all of that in summer of 2010 to do everything I did freelance. A few big contracts and things occasionally got thrown onto W-2 stuff, wage payroll type stuff for quasi contracting purposes. But for the most part, everything I've been doing has been complete freelance working at home for 10 years. My statements on this, number one, this trend here actually is telling me people are getting about the same amount of work done. The difference is they're just spreading it out throughout the times. The advantage is some people work really well late at night. I'm an example. I work until about 2 or 3 in the morning. So some of my clients are oftentimes like, dude, you're sending me emails when I'm about waking up. I'm like, yeah, because I work into about 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm very productive when I do that. And then I stop. When I'm tired, I turn everything down. And this is why I don't buy into the blue light keeps you awake thing, because I finish up, close down the computers, and I go to sleep. And I'm asleep in 10 minutes. Sleep through the night, however many hours I'm going to get, usually between 6 and 8 hours. I get up and I do a bunch of all the errand type things. I get exercise done. I get walking done. I get reading done. I get shopping done. Everything else done before 2. 2 o'clock, I go in, I turn on the computers. I do a little bit of block of work that's not super intense. In that time, I'm going to do some video prep. I'm going to check in on comments. I'm going to do anything important for clients. And I'm going to take a couple hour dinner break. And then I go back after the dinner break's over and I work solid until about 2, 3 in the morning. And so looking at these patterns, I've just found what I'm most effective. Now, there was a time I'm like, the good plan that you want to do is throw on your suit and your tie and be well dressed. And you got to set your alarm clock at 5 a.m. like you used to do. And you got to get up at 5 a.m. and you got to get your exercise done early in the morning. And you got to take your shower and be ready and sit in front of your computer with perfect posture and a perfect work attire, ready to go for 9 a.m. And you got to work just like a normal business person works. I tried that for about a year or 2. It just didn't work for me. It might work for you. It doesn't work for me. There's a statement out there. It's like the early bird gets the worm. Not always. Oftentimes the night owl ate it before the early bird even got up. Okay? I got to say that. So overall, I don't see this as troubling. I see people shifting and fitting more time in. Why might someone want to be working at midnight? Well, their wife's asleep. Their children are asleep. There's no distractions in the home. They can get a solid block of work done. What I see that's encouraging me about this is that for the most part, these trends are very similar in that I'm seeing that people are still spending some family time. And that's encouraging. Now, a little bit more in the evening hours, but at the same token, I'm seeing the rises and the drops when I think I should be seeing them. And that to me is a little bit encouraging. I can say, though, after 10 years working from home, not everybody is good at working from home. So that's kind of a thought. So that's what I have to say. What are your thoughts about all this in the comments down below?
Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.